It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you, where you're listening, at your computer, in the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles. To be specific, hello everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of... What's the name of the show? What's the name of the show? What are you listening to? It's the Unhappy Hour. I'm a Cleveland sports fan. Indians, Cavs, Browns. Never celebrated a championship in my lifetime. Also a Buckeye fan, though. Got something. It's a little different. 2.5 hours outside of Cleveland, where I'm from. A little different, but that's the team I grew up rooting for. That was a fantastic championship we had under Jim Tressel. Remember Maurice Claret? Remember that? Oh, man. Remember that game against Miami? Yeah. That was one of the best championship games you're ever going to see. Playoffs or no playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah. So I've celebrated a Buckeye championship, but the show's called The Unhappy Hour because, you know, Cleveland, where I grew up, about 25 minutes outside of Cleveland, never celebrated a championship. So thank you for listening to our program. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about what? Johnny Manziel, Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer becomes a starting quarterback. Excuse me, what have we learned over the past 2 games? Well, we'll talk about that. 2 preseason games is specifically what I'm referencing here. Learn that Johnny Manziel can flip a good middle finger. That's going to help us. That's going to get us there. It's no big deal. It just shows immaturity again, which is the big deal. You know, if he's not out like Aaron Hernandez shooting people, Dante Stallworth in a DUI where he kills somebody in his car. Who was that? Carolina receiver killed his girlfriend or something. Ray Rice and the nightclub shooting. You know, if you're not out there doing those things, I'm not worried about middle finger. I've played football. You know, I have. If that's the worst thing that happens to you during a football game, or the biggest thing you have to, it does show that he's immature and he's not ready. So we're going to bring in NBA scout Zak Baris. We want to talk about Kyrie Irving's level of immaturity as well. He came out in a report earlier this week saying he has not been much of a leader. I want to get Zak's opinion of it. Zak is a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. He is an NBA scout, and he's been a regular on this program for the better part of, man, I don't know. We've been doing this for what, about I don't even know how long we've been doing this show. I'm kind of forgetting. He's been on the program for a very long time. And so we're going to bring Zak Baris into the show. If you haven't checked out our homepage yet, look around, go through the archive stuff. There's a lot of good content. TheNewAmericanMedia.com. On the bottom right of the page, there's the Facebook and the YouTube link, or Facebook and the Twitter links. Twitter, we're at American_media_, and then just do a search for us on Facebook. But definitely make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. All of our videos, if you click that little YouTube link in the bottom right, it'll take you to our homepage. Subscribe to it, leave comments, because that's where this conversation continues. Yes, I'm talking to you. UFC is MMA. Yes, I'm talking to you, all of the other people who have been leaving comments. UFC is MMA has been with us for almost as long as Zak has. It's kind of funny. But yeah, participate. This is a back and forth conversation. I know that we don't have call-in lines. There's a couple reasons for that. I won't bore you with the details. For now, I'll just bring Zak into the program and we can get going on all the stuff that we have to talk about.
Hello?
Zak, you're live on the air, man. I thought I would never ever talk to you again. How you been?
I'm good.
You know, you go this long without talking about sports, and Lord almighty, you have a guy being beheaded, an American journalist overseas being beheaded on live camera. That's online everywhere you look. You have riots outside of St. Louis, Missouri, everywhere you look. So you try to go to the sports world for some solace, and then you have Kyrie Irving saying he's not much of a leader, Johnny Manziel flipping people off, and neither of those quarterbacks are looking very good for the Browns, and Braxton Miller's out with a season ending. You know, every now and then, I try to go from news for something I want to watch and then bounce to sports, but this has been a horrible week all across the board. And it's a few days late, but we're going to be shifting the days of the shows around. But welcome back to the show, sir. Where do you want to start?
I don't even know. Let's go where you want to go.
All right, Kyrie Irving. Did you read the article that happened to come out earlier this week?
I did have a chance to see it. I mean, he just says he hasn't been much of a leader the last few years. I mean, there's no doubting that. If anything, if he would have said he was, it would have looked even worse. I mean, the Cavaliers had 3 miserable seasons with Kyrie. The first one was excusable. The second one, you said, okay, they're still a really young team. And last year, when you really expect them to take that leap and win 45 games at least, or at least win that 40 and be an 8 seed playoff team, they couldn't do it.
Right.
And, so he wasn't a leader last year. I watched games last year where his play looked, lackadaisical, to say the best.
You mean it kind of looked Josh Gordon-esque?
Yeah. From the other night, it was at the point where I remember last year he was almost dribbling the ball above his head against the Timberwolves early on. When the Cavaliers blew, I think it was a 23 or 24 point lead, and still wound up winning the game by 1 point because Kevin Martin missed a 3 at the end of the game. But I mean, that was a game where you're like, okay, he just doesn't care. I totally don't think it's a problem though. I mean, he doesn't need to be the leader. LeBron is the leader on this team, and LeBron. Don't forget LeBron's first 7 years in Cleveland. He had some seasons, the year they lost the championship, he was a leader. He had a hell of a run in the playoffs. You can't say his last 2 years he was the defined leader in Cleveland. I mean, they lost. I wouldn't put 2009 is his fault. 2010 is when the issues were there, and a leader wouldn't do that. 2009 was a lot of Mo Williams' fault and their inability to stop Dwight Howard. But guys take a while to mature, and Kyrie's 22 years old. You've got your leader in LeBron James. You've got another guy in Kevin Love who's going to come in there. This is a team where I have a feeling Kyrie's really going to step up this season. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I came out. The thing that frustrates me about this is that we were willing to pay max money to somebody that hasn't really figured it out, but that is part of the process. We watched it with LeBron. He was king of the world, hosting Saturday Night Live, biggest shoe deals out there, just everywhere and anything.
Leader,
King
though.
James.
Kyrie's uncle and it didn't make him a leader necessarily. Now I think he will step into that role. Like you said, he doesn't need to be alpha. He doesn't need to be the alpha dog here. He can be pushed into a secondary or tertiary role here, and he can succeed in that. I truly believe he will. I think they've got a really. Don't forget, this is a team that didn't have any veterans over the last years. Your veterans were Jarrett Jack, Ramon Sessions. I'm being serious.
Verajau's been in the league for a while, but he's been injured.
But that's it. That's it.
Right.
I mean, if you go back and look on those teams,
you made it look so bad at first. At least Verajau was here. He's been to the finals.
Here's the thing: is you're looking at a team now with Anderson Varejao, your starting center, has been to an NBA Finals before, multiple years in the playoffs. Kevin Love doesn't have that, but Kevin Love's got an Olympic gold medal.
Is there anything that derails Kevin Love?
No, I don't think so at this point. I think it's happening. I think it's set in stone. Unless something weird happens, I don't foresee that happening though.
Okay.
So you've got Kevin. So let's just say you've got Kevin Love. The guy's got an Olympic gold medal. Okay. You got LeBron James. He's been to 5 championships. He's got 2 rings. Dion Waiters. The maturity level hasn't hit yet. I think that's going to change this season. Same with Kyrie Irving. Okay, now you look towards the bench.
Okay, pause on the bench, because I want to do something real quick. Compare Dion Waiters to Johnny Manziel with his maturity. Oh, let's compare these 3 people. Compare Kyrie Irving, Dion Waiters, and Johnny Manziel as far as maturity levels, what you've seen as far as product and how they conduct themselves.
Kyrie Irving's put more on the floor. Kyrie Irving has stepped up at points. Dion Waiters has stepped up at points too. But Waiters just seems to be more, he seems to be a more selfish player at this point in his career. Although I believe that will change the season. If it doesn't, I still don't see there's a guarantee that he's on the roster come opening day, Dion Waiters. I think as of right now, but like I said, Phoenix is trying to work out a deal right now, negotiate a deal with Eric Bledsoe in a trade. Like I said, I think that still stands on the table. If the Cavaliers want to get Bledsoe, I have a feeling Waiters is the ticket to get Bledsoe.
Oh, you're saying that could happen this year? Because
I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying there's a possibility it can happen.
If things don't mesh well quickly enough, and I think Dion's probably been put on blast. If you don't drop in line and do what needs to be done, we're shipping you out for Bledsoe. If you figure it out, we're going to keep you here on a championship contending team and try to add Bledsoe next year. Your choice, Dion. You want to be a punk or you want to go be a superstar on the Timberwolves?
He might not even get that chance, though. That's the thing, is you never know. I mean, if what LeBron wants is what LeBron's getting at this point,
Yeah.
And I can tell you the guy wants to play with Eric Bledsoe.
Well, they're calling LeBron the GM. Do you think that Calipari actually meant that he wouldn't have coached the team, or do you think Calipari was full of it?
No, I think Calipari regrets it. I mean, who would turn down more money to stay in Lexington, Kentucky?
Hey, some of these college coaches, though, they have a ridiculously sweet deal in a town that puts their arms around them and shields them, and they have a cush thing for a decade. The NBA is turn and burn, super huge pressure, super huge expectations, and you're bounced. And if you're not Mike Brown, you're usually not collecting.
Don't forget, one of the reasons Kentucky is basically getting a redone Rupp Arena is because of Calipari. I mean, he owns that town. That's one of the things.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
If you told Calipari 4 months ago, or 3 months ago, whatever it was, when he turned it down, I'm so confused with all my dates. And if you would have told him that at that point that the Cavaliers would have Kevin Love and LeBron James and Shawn Marion and those guys, I think Calipari would have jumped ship so fast. But he's not going to sit there now. He's the coach of Kentucky.
Yeah, I know. I would have.
Of course.
You know what that is? That conversation is. You're sitting around a campfire. Okay, your significant other is by you. You go, hey, I totally would have married that broad that I hooked up with that one night in college. You remember what's her name? Yeah, I would have totally married her, except I'm with my current wife. You can't do that even if that was the story. That will never play well. So Calipari's not going to say, I would have totally taken that Cavs job if I knew LeBron was coming. Oh, hey guys. Hey, I forgot you were back here. I love you too. I love you more, sweetheart. Of course.
Exactly.
He had no
choice.
choice.
He couldn't do that anyway. So
you think he's full of it? He's full of it. Is your point?
Oh, I think he's completely full of it.
That's fair.
It's Calipari. I mean, this is a guy who's had to have 2 of his Final Four appearances vacated with UMass and Memphis.
And why did he have them vacated again? Refresh us.
There was there were academic scandals in both of them. So.
Okay. Well, at least it wasn't pedophilia. At least it wasn't murder. At least it wasn't not Penn State.
So,
and it was all right. Go ahead.
No, nothing on those levels. I mean, but this is how you have to take it now with the Cavaliers and getting back to their bench now. Tristan Thompson doesn't have that experience, but Shawn Marion's won a title in Dallas. Mike Miller's won 2 titles.
Well, Mike Miller's a done deal. Mike Miller's a done deal, but Shawn Marion is not.
Shawn Marion's, it's happening. Whatever you say, it's happening.
Well, why hasn't it happened since we heard it 2-3 days ago?
Because there's no rush for it. There's no rush. It's happening. It's done. Ray Allen's going to wind up signing 2. I'll be shocked at this point if he doesn't.
Thank you. When do we know about Ray Allen? Because is Marion waiting for Allen?
No. They're waiting until the Kevin Love deal is done, set in stone, and then Shawn Marion will wind up signing probably this Saturday or Sunday, is my guess.
Well, okay. So when does the Kevin Love deal? That happens
Saturday. Kevin Love deal happens Saturday. Shawn Marion will sign right after that. Ray Allen will come the first or second week of September.
Oh my Lord! What an amazing thing we're putting together. Anyway, go back to the bench. I digress.
So, I mean, like I said, James Jones has been, has won 2 titles. You now have that. And Dellavedova, though, I mean, he's a hustler. He really showed it on the court last year.
And you like him. You like him, and I like what I've seen of him too.
He's a valuable defender. I really have to say that. He can really play defense.
He would earn his keep. He would earn his keep on the squad, is what you're saying. He's not
He's one of those guys, a fighter. I think he will be on the opening day. I know he'll be on the opening day roster.
What types of guys is he going to be able to defend, and what kind of pressure is that going to take off of Kyrie that doesn't play defense well? And
I don't
LeBron,
know what kind of mixes and matches Dave Blatt's going to have on the floor.
And that's going to be fun to see with Euroball coming over to the Cavs. He's going to have different ideas.
There's a point. There's going to be times on the court when you're going to have a lineup sometimes. Seriously,
I'm so excited to see this.
You'll have the occasional lineup of Love playing the 5. You'll have Marion in there, LeBron, Kyrie, and Waiters running the floor. I mean, you're going to see some ridiculously athletic lineups where teams won't be able to run with the Cavs.
Okay, let me ask you this about Dion Waiters. His game is not put together, and his mental approach has been maybe in some regards the same way that Kyrie. His mental approach maybe not being there, the hustle, the focus and determination. But as far as pure athleticism, compare Dwayne Wade's athletic ability on the floor versus Dion Waiters' athletic ability on the floor.
Dwayne Wade's a freak. I mean, he's always been a freak. I mean, some of the stuff that he's been able to do, he was always a mini LeBron, basically. I mean, that's what Eric Bledsoe's called. Bledsoe's nickname is actually Mini LeBron. But Dwayne Wade, I mean, he's been able to do it all. I mean, you name it, he can do it. The guy's an acrobat on the floor. And I mean, he's not anymore. He's a shell of himself, but he's still a good player. He's not an amazing player like he was. I mean, he was a top 5 player in the NBA, top 4 player, maybe even top 3.
Oh, he had an incredible run. He was getting the championships when LeBron was languishing. You know,
I mean, the thing is, I mean, don't forget he had Shaq in his prime. Shaq towards the end of his prime. I mean, that's also a difference too. If LeBron would have had prime Shaq on any of those teams, I think the Cavaliers would have had multiple championships.
Well, what is it if my aunt had different genitalia, she'd be my uncle?
Well, I'm just saying.
I know. But what about Dion's athleticism? Dion's
freakishly athletic. He just makes some bonehead decisions. He's a selfish player, but I don't think he's not gonna have the ball in his hands this season. You know, he's gonna be the one sitting outside getting ready for the open jumpers, cutting to the lane. LeBron
I could see him slashing around in there. I could totally see him, all the backdoor cuts, the pick and rolls. I could see some really creative, inventive action off of the ball because Kevin Love can pass, Kyrie can pass, LeBron can pass. This team, anywhere you're at, the center position is whipping it around the floor, which opens up. I really see that Dion Waiters could have an astonishing breakout year, just the recipient of so many of these flash and bang plays. Am I crazy to think that?
I don't think you're crazy at all. I don't think you're going to see a ton of 30-point games from Dion just because there's too much.
No.
You know, don't forget you've got Kevin Love, a guy who averaged 26 last year. LeBron, who averaged close to 29 points a game. Kyrie, who was in the low to mid 20s last year. You know, Dion is going to be anywhere in that 13 to 6, maybe he can even be up to 16, 17. But
they're not going to get the minutes, and they're not going to be asked to.
This is what people look when you're following basketball. You don't just follow statistics. Statistics are the worst. It analyzes the player in the worst possible way. Antoine Jamison had great statistics for a while, and he was a terrible player at some point. You know, you have to look at the advanced statistics and analytics to analyze a player properly. So when you're taking a look at Dion Waiters, you don't care if he puts up more points a game. He can be putting up the same number of points a game. What if he's taking 5 less shots per game?
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say is that we're not going to see him, knocking in 42, knocking in 37, 32. It's just not going to be there. But if his efficiency is through the roof and most of what he's getting are wide open passes, then you get that hockey pass where he just distributes it to LeBron coming across for a dunk, boom, an assist. You're going to see him cutting across and going up for an alley-oop. That's 1 for 1 with 1 field goal and 2 points on 1 play. That's good, as opposed to 3 crappy jumpers mixed in. That's what I think, too. I think it's going to be very efficient for the minutes that he gets. That specifically, I think that's how I want to say that.
That's what I'm banking on with him. Just a better leadership on the floor. I mean, do I think saying Chauncey Billups is a bit ridiculous? Yes. At this point, he's not a serviceable NBA player, as much as I love Chauncey.
Mentor, quasi-coach, big game, clutch experience.
You can hire a guy as an assistant coach. I mean, I really like that Dave Blatt brought back most of the coaches from last year. He brought a couple of his own guys in. It was just announced yesterday. He brought guys back, he brought back Brett Bromeyer, brought back a couple of other guys. He basically retained the majority of his staff.
How important are the assistant coaches in basketball? I really don't know one way or another, but you might.
They are. For developmental purposes, they're very important. I mean, you can look with great assistants sometimes, and they help make a coaching staff. You can't just rely on a head coach.
What franchises can we point to kind of look at a few examples of where the assistants made a very big difference in a championship run in the past decade and a half?
I mean, look at teams like San Antonio. You've had guys there like Thibodeau. I mean, you had, look at the Celtics with Doc Rivers. You've had assistants come out from all over the place with these guys, and they make good coaches. That's what you really have to look at.
Right.
It's, when you look at a staff, it's like looking at the 94, 95 Cleveland Browns. Who came out of that staff? Well, look at it. Nick Saban.
Oh, man. Hold on. I need hold on 1 second. I need to stretch my arms, stretch my neck, because I'm going to tense up and I'm going to get angry. So, hold on. Tell me one more time who was on that 95, 96?
Yeah, you had
Cleveland
Nick Saban,
Browns.
Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, Kirk Ferentz. You even had Jim Schwartz. I believe Eric Mangini was a ball boy. I mean, I'm just saying that you look at all the talent that came out of that team, and
hey, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, you just scratch your head and go. And Ozzie was there too. Okay, so they knew how to evaluate
talent. Kirk Ferentz, Phil Savage. I mean, Scott Pioli was there. I mean, you had a lot a lot of successful NFL front office people, coaches, and you're looking at a team that was
tensing up. That makes me so angry that Art Modell took that team away when it was on that trajectory. Kind of like it's so much worse than how I feel about the NBA, the Major League Baseball season going on strike when the Indians were getting hot right there in that 1 year.
Well, they
just
were in
shut
the
down
World
the
Series
season.
the following year anyway, so it's the point, as bad as it was,
No.
It happens.
Okay, but we're talking about assistants here because the Cavs also added Larry Drew, who's the former head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Jason Kidd pulled some whoop-de-doo, went over there, took Larry Drew, took the job from Larry Drew.
Larry Drew got a raw deal in Milwaukee, and everybody will tell you that.
But is this a blessing? Is Larry Drew getting paid right now? Did they terminate it early and he gets paid anyway? So
I don't know the exact details of the contract.
Because that makes a difference as far as whether he's screwed or not. But now he bounces to LeBron James, the best player on the planet, new head coach David Blatt that's never been in the NBA before. What does this mean for both Larry Drew and for the new Cavaliers head coach David Blatt?
Blatt can look for some insight, from Larry Drew, who's been here before. So, you always have that to look to. But relatively speaking, I think that Dave Blatt, I think he knows what he's doing. They wouldn't have hired him if he didn't know what he's doing. He's going to have a good relationship with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was all for it. Obviously, like I've been, trying to reiterate all summer, that when Brian Winters came on and Chris Broussard said, "Oh, when the Cavaliers hired David Blatt, they have no shot at LeBron," and I said, "You've got to be kidding me! Absolutely kidding me!" I even said it on the show. I said, "There's no way." I said, "If LeBron really cared about the coach, he wouldn't have played for Eric Spoelstra in Miami." If that was the case, a virtually unknown coach at the time.
That's a good point. Yeah, and he saw that it could. He learned that it can happen down there with the right people surrounding him. So don't worry about if he has a lot of experience or not, because essentially LeBron is the coach. You know that he is, because if the system doesn't work for him, it's not working for that coach, and that coach is out the door. And it's a very interesting situation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I think LeBron will work with David. I think they're all going to work together. I think especially. I don't think LeBron really needs coaching too much. I think he knows what he's doing. He's a floor general. He's essentially a coach and a player.
But you also realize that as LeBron's game improves, now his raw athleticism is starting to betray him a little bit. Getting the cramps. He has a lot of mileage on his. Of course.
Yeah, it does.
It's just part of how it goes. Natural depreciation over time. You have a physical peak during X amount of years. Now he's moving into a different phase. There's a chance that David Blatt could teach him a heck of a lot about efficient rebounds without banging his body up, about the best assists, the best way to move to the basket, and the scheme so that you're not taking abuse doing it. He might learn a hell of a lot, and he might actually be receptive to listening this time because he knows enough. He knew everything before.
I think his maturity is on such another level from where it was 4 years ago. And looking back on it, we could have had this thing where, let's say LeBron decided to stay 4 years ago. And, like I said, I brought this up on the show last time.
You did, and it's a very good point. I don't hear many people talking about this, but you make a very good point.
And the Cavaliers would have been stuck in salary cap hell. There was no guarantee they were going to win a title. With guys like Antoine Jamison, just physically declining so much.
Shaquille O'Neal, Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
There was no guarantee that team was even going to get out of the Eastern Conference. So looking back on it, we could have been sitting here this summer 2014 as, LeBron playing 11 years in a Cavaliers uniform and leaving now. And then the Cavaliers have no chance of getting LeBron back next year, in the next 4 years. He's going to be 35.
And then LeBron figures out how to win, and he's in a situation now where he knocks off about 5 or 6 in a row.
Exactly. So we're at the point where, you're sitting here as Cleveland, be thankful for what you have. Yeah, it took a few years to rebuild, and LeBron got a couple of rings, and everybody's mad about it. Nobody's mad about it anymore.
But okay, so back to Larry Drew, though. Larry Drew is going to bring that experience for David Blatt, so Blatt has an anchor of like, hey, I was here last year. Look, when we travel to this city, we're going to eat here, because that stuff makes a difference, especially if you're a Euro guy and you're not even used to the States. It's a very big life difference.
That's another thing. He's a Bostonian who went to Princeton. He's not a foreigner. He's lived abroad for the past 20-some odd years, but he's still an American.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, but when probably, 2/3 of what he's doing is in Europe. You know, just like me, you know, so many years of the past decade have been in California. Less and less of my moments have been in Ohio. Not that I don't know Ohio and I don't know the United States.
I know exactly what you mean.
So Larry Drew can help in that respect, and you're out on the road. How important is it for someone to just be comfortable on the road, just the whole process of comfort?
I mean, it's definitely a change. If you're not comfortable doing it, you're not going to be able to get yourself up every day and be able to get yourself on a plane to go to a different city.
Are all teams equally great at making sure that this is seamless, or do some teams have a piss-poor organization that affects their product?
Sometimes you have these young guys. I mean, this is the thing with the Cavaliers is, I'm not saying this isn't necessarily the case, but let's just say it is. You've got guys that are used to playing 30 games a year in college, and suddenly they're on it. You know, in college you're playing 2 games a week. You play on usually your Thursdays and Saturdays, and your Thursdays and Sundays. You're playing 2 to 3 games a week max. You're playing usually 2 games, maybe a third. And, you know, so these kids are usually in their home territory. They're in their home gym. They're not practicing in other people's courts all the time. You know, you get there the day before the game in college and you got time to practice. Sometimes you're there all weekend. You know, but usually your games are, let's say Arizona was going to play in California, in Southern California. You'd play UCLA on Thursday night and you'd play USC on Saturday or Sunday.
It's like the West Coast trip. The tribe flies out, and you play the Anaheim Angels, and then you go play Oakland and interleague series against the Giants.
But I know from being in the Pac-12, and it's like when Arizona would go up to the Bay Area, you'd play Stanford on Thursday, and you'd play Cal on Saturday or Sunday, or the opposite way around. And same with Oregon. You go to Eugene one day, and then you're in Corvallis the next day.
It makes the most sense. It makes the most sense.
Seattle, and then you're up in Pullman. So that's how it works with there. And then this year it was Boulder, and then it was Utah. So that's just how it works in the Pac-12. So they make it a very easy travel schedule on these kids. So you're not necessarily going to be adapt to traveling every day. From being in Chicago, then going to Milwaukee, then heading out. This is on a daily basis. Then heading out to Denver, and then Los Angeles, then the Bay Area, and then you're down in Arizona, and then you're back in Cleveland. So that's the problem with these kids is you're not used to playing that frequently. 2, you're not used to playing that many games, and 3, you're not used to any of these cities. You don't know anybody in the road yet. You're a young kid. This is where people take advantage of you.
You're impressionable. You have shit tons of money floating around all over the place.
Yeah. Now these guys have leaders with them.
Right. Come here, young man. Let me put my arm around you. I'm going to take care of this evening, and I'm going to show you what to do and what not to do.
I mean, the Cavaliers are literally going to be on the national stage every single night this season.
Man, am I looking forward to it, because it's been a rough week.
They're going to be on national TV on 45% of their games, or will be on national TV.
Which games are you and I going to, Zach? Which ones are we going to go to?
I'm not sure. I'll be at a lot of them this season.
All right, well,
I'll tell you that.
We'll figure that out. The Cavs are I don't know. Do you think the Cavs are viewed as public enemy number 1, or because he's going back to his hometown? Are people actually rooting for us as America's team in basketball next year? Is it one or the other, or a combination?
I mean, here's the thing: this is what I realized. Being from outside of Cleveland, people hate Cleveland outside of Cleveland. I don't understand the hate.
Really?
I really don't. I really don't.
Is it just the lottery picks?
At least my friends from LA, my Laker fans. I mean, my friends that are Lakers fans hate Cleveland. I mean, they cannot stand it. I still get text messages all the time. I still remember the night of the lottery. It was a joke, tweeting, and one of my friends goes, I really hope the Cavaliers don't win the lottery, but I know just because the gods of Cleveland are, they're going to win the lottery. I was like, I have the same feeling, like they're going to win it. I went in there that night. I didn't know if they were going to win, but I knew they were getting a top 3 pick. I knew it.
and the way it played out is ridiculous. But do you only feel the hate for the Cleveland Cavaliers, or also the Indians and Browns?
No, I think people actually. LeBron is likable now. When he went to Miami, I mean, he was hated. I mean,
I sure as hell did. I'd say I've built a career on it, Zach, except this is still my part-time gig.
He's going back where he's the most beloved player in the NBA again. He went from being the most hated to being the most beloved player 4 years later. It's an unbelievable turnaround for the guy.
Now we need that championship.
he was put in the same category as Art Modell 4 years ago, and now look at the guy. I mean, everybody's in love with him again.
Hey, I'm in like with him again. Bring me a championship. You're all mine, big boy.
I'm telling you, look at this roster the Cavaliers have right now.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Who starts?
I'm just saying, I've already been naming it, but I'm just saying it is so dominant.
No, line them up across the San Antonio Spurs. Tell me about the starting lineups and who.
So the problem is I can't sit there and line them up against the Spurs, and this is why. The Spurs have a lot of complementary pieces. They don't necessarily, other than Tim
just
Duncan
the front
and Tony
five,
Parker.
just the front five.
Okay.
No Tristan Thompson
fine.
or Andy at the same time.
Fine.
Dion,
if you're going Thiago Splitter versus Anderson Varejao, I'm going to take Anderson Varejao. Okay.
So now you're taking him. Give me a 70-30.
I go 70-30 on that one.
Okay.
I don't like Thiago Splitter very much.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say how much of a mismatch is it between the two. Okay.
Oh, I would go 60-40. It's not that much. They're both the Brazilian centers. They're both. I would go 60-40, maybe 55-45. It's nothing outrageous.
Okay.
And this is the one where I can't make the comparison because it's Tim Duncan versus Kevin Love. Tim Duncan's one of the top 10, 15 greatest players of all time. Kevin Love's never made a playoff game. Just due to that experience, I'm taking Tim Duncan. Is Kevin Love going to pile on?
You're also taking a 53-year-old Tim Duncan with Kevin Love seeking out his first title.
Tim Duncan's still an all-star. I mean, he's still.
I know he's. Look, I love to.
He's a top 10 player.
I've accidentally and by twist of fate, I've become a San Antonio Spurs fan every time they play the Heat. So yes, I've rooted for them and I like him.
You're going to revert back to your roots and go back to 2007 and say, "Oh, I hate the Spurs." I just know because I'm starting to feel that hate right now.
It's reminding me, but I'm more or less remembering when I was rooting against LeBron's Heat to lose, so that the Cavs, my team, could have a chance to get that player back. In which case, I was rooting for Tim Duncan, and yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the best players ever to play the game, but he is toward the very end of his career.
Yeah.
So Kevin Love is at his physical peak.
Up the season, but nothing would tell you that Tim Duncan's not going to hold up the season.
Yeah,
that's why.
Sure thing. Keep Carla. Keep Omar Vizquel out as long as he's turning those wicked double plays. You don't know what year that's going to be. Keep trotting anybody out. Ray Allen, 19 years in the league? If you can still knock those threes down, man, come on. Come on down, stand in the corner.
Like I said, San Antonio's time is coming where their run will eventually be up. It is what it is. As great of a player as Kawhi Leonard is, if you put Kawhi Leonard on a crappy team, he's not going to be able to run the team. That's the difference between him and, like I said, if it's LeBron against Kawhi Leonard is a great defensive player. Great. But Cleveland now has a lot of offensive potential. Miami really limited themselves a year ago. It was LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. And with Wade was invincible in the finals. He wasn't there. And
invisible is a big difference than invincible.
Kawhi Leonard's a freak at this point. I mean, he's just getting better and better. But don't forget, the Cavaliers were so close to selecting him over Tristan Thompson 4 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what number did Kawhi Leonard go? Thompson was 4.
I believe he went 13 to the Indiana Pacers and was traded for George Hill.
He was going to take him all at number 4 or try to trade back and get him at 10?
What happened was the Cavaliers weren't necessarily going to take Kawhi Leonard 4. What happened was they had their eyes on guys such as Kawhi Leonard. They really had their eye on. They had their eye on Marshawn Brooks too, who got drafted by the Nets. But their main target was Kawhi Leonard at that point, and they also had their eye on Klay Thompson. They tried to trade back in and get both of them. I couldn't even picture what the Cavaliers would be like nowadays if you would have, let's just say, theoretically or hypothetically, that you would have taken Klay Thompson at 4, managed to trade back into the lottery at number, let's say number 9.
What would you have to give up to trade back into the lottery? What's the going rate?
Future picks. But if the Cavaliers... I don't even want to speculate because...
No, I like this. I like these games, and especially... Hold on.
All these what-ifs. They would have never been in position to draft Andrew Wiggins. They would have never been in position to draft this guy, that guy.
I know. Everything, it's like if you butterfly flaps its wings on one part of the world, it can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. I get that.
The Cavaliers
but I like these
one
games.
more game last year, that could have been Detroit sitting in that spot.
Yeah, but LeBron's not going to Detroit. Right.
No, obviously LeBron's not going to Detroit. But
everything would be different. How about it?
The Cavaliers wouldn't have had the ammo to go up, and if they did, they would have been sitting there giving up, let's say they were giving up the 9th pick
Yeah.
along with Dion Waiters, Tristan Thompson, all those guys, and then it's LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie, and that's it.
Huh.
Now they have a lot more complementary pieces because they got the number 1 overall pick. So
And they're affordable is the best part. Yeah, I mean,
yes.
how long do we have Tristan and Dion? How long are they affordable?
Tristan's got 1 year left, and then he goes into restricted free agency.
Now, is he gonna stick with this boy LeBron? I mean, how would he bounce out of that?
I tend to think so. I think Cleveland will give him a nice deal, depending. Cleveland could offer him. I don't think.
But that's the thing.
Yeah,
and that's my point. You always said he's going to bounce and get overpaid like Bosh, except his boy LeBron is
Bosh was an all-star. Bosh was a great player. Tristan Thompson is nowhere near.
No. I mean, very overpaid for what they do. Very good players in certain respects. But I mean, come on, Bosh is the most overpaid player in all of the NBA right now, right?
Right now, yes.
Well, okay, that's what I'm referencing.
But here's the team: for a third team, for a third piece on that superstar team, he was not overpaid because without Bosh, they would not have won those 2 championships. But he's overpaid.
Right.
It's like the Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson was vastly overpaid. Chris Bosh was overpaid, but not. It wasn't the point where he was so overpaid.
Okay, so if Tristan Thompson isn't worth 10. And LeBron is going to keep him, but LeBron knows that if he gets too much, then he's not going to keep the Ray Allens and the Mike Millers that they all need to win titles. How much pressure does LeBron have on his camp to say, look, I'm making you, son. You're going to do this. You're going to make a couple million more than last year, and you're going to stick with this team, with the program for a while, or else you're out of here, and I'm telling you, you should stay here and win titles with me. Is that happening behind the scenes, or am I just playing that in my head?
I don't know. I mean, LeBron might say, hey, Tristan, we got something good here. You've got some. I mean, don't forget all these guys' endorsement deals are going to go up. I mean, a guy like Tristan Thompson, who hasn't had much exposure over the last few years,
he'll be selling used cars in Northeast Ohio for 5 years.
Everybody in the NBA will now know who Tristan Thompson
exactly.
is. They will all know who
Norris Cole
Dion Waiters is because these guys will be on national TV on a nightly basis.
Come on, how many wide open, redunculous plays is Tristan Thompson going to be shown on the highlight films next year? The pick and rolls, the cutting across. Come on, Tristan is going to look like a badass next year in a huge efficiency. And
I mean, I hope so. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I think he will look much better.
I see it. I see this team being
style of play fits his offense exactly in these players. But looking at it though, I mean, here's guys like you would have never heard about guys like Norris Cole. I mean, like I said, you and I wouldn't. But the typical NBA fan is not sitting there, necessarily. Look at a guy. Norris Cole is more well known than Eric Bledsoe. Why? Because he gets more exposure. Bledsoe played on a 48-win Suns team last year and was a great player. He was a borderline all-star. But he didn't get that recognition because they're not on TV every night. That's what happens. And, your endorsements go up, everything. You get more Twitter followers. It's sudden people hear a name.
Right.
So, these guys have a lot to work on this year. Getting on the national stage, I mean, it could be a little rough early, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. I don't think they're going to start off 9-8. I think LeBron's in a much more comfortable situation.
Yeah.
This could wind up being the most comfortable he's ever been.
So could the Cavs coalesce? I mean, is it possible for a first-year team coming together to challenge most wins in a regular season?
I mean, I think they can win the most in the regular season. I mean, honestly, I think ESPN's projection of them with 58 wins is incredibly low. I mean, you're telling me that adding LeBron, Kevin Love, Shawn Marion, Ray Allen, Mike Miller, and James Jones added only 25 wins to this team. LeBron himself is worth 20, at least.
Yeah.
And Kevin Love himself is worth at least 16. Nate Silver before the Marion signing has them at 65.5 wins.
Okay. Well, it's just got me wondering because what's going to happen with the guys that bounce out of here then? What about the Anthony Bennett? What about Andrew Wiggins?
Bennett was worth about 2.5 losses last year.
Well, as far as his development, is he going to thrive in a place like Minnesota, or is this going to just really shut him down, or is it something in between?
I honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think don't forget, Minnesota's done possibly the worst job in the entire league at developing their own players, other than Kevin Love.
Kevin Garnett.
I'm talking about in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, 10 years. So you're right. Okay, so what about Wiggins, though?
They had guys back in the 90s. They had Stephon Marbury. They had
Isaiah Ryder.
I'm talking about nowadays.
Right.
And, no one's done a worse job than the Minnesota Timberwolves. No one.
Okay, well, what about Andrew Wiggins then? Because, you wonder if it's that scorned, use that same example I used earlier about Calipari. That scorned, well, I was going to break up with her anyway. Yeah, she dumped me, but, this is where I'm going to thrive.
Here's the thing. If you're Andrew Wiggins, I think Andrew Wiggins has the right to be a little bit bitter right now, and I'll tell you why. He was drafted by a team. The fans fell in love with him. They sold a bunch of season tickets that night. And, I can tell you that, one of my business partners went out and bought season tickets the night, they won the lottery. And,
oh, wow.
When they were getting Wiggins. So, it was something like that. It was, people were thrilled in Cleveland. I think Andrew was really excited to be a part of it. And suddenly this, hear that Cleveland's, native son, their superstar is coming home and that you're not wanted anymore, it's got to hurt. It's got to hurt on some level. Andrew was really excited to come to Cleveland and get in. He came early. I know he was here before July 4th in Cleveland. He came a week early than he had to. He wanted to get in camp and wanted to start working out with the Cavs. And I feel bad for the kid. I really do. I think he's going to have a great career. But for Cleveland, as much as the fans want him, at this point, if you're going to give me, here's the thing: if you're going to give me if you're going to give me Kevin Love and LeBron James against Andrew Wiggins and Chandler Parsons, I'm going to tell you I'm going to take Kevin Love and Kevin Love and LeBron any day. It's not a question. And I just feel like Andrew is put in a tough spot, and they put Cleveland's front office in a really tough spot too.
Yeah,
I don't think they didn't want to give up Andrew, but it was at the point where they didn't have a choice. That's how you have to look at it. Griffin was, they were put in a position where they didn't have a choice. What if
the Cavs come back now and say, you know what, I don't think Golden State's going to offer you anything. You know what? Everyone knows Kevin Love's playing here next year.
The problem is if you do that and they go and trade him to Chicago for Doug McDermott, Jimmy Butler, and Taj Gibson, you're screwed. Your championship window has gone out the window.
What happens next year? 1 year of purgatory getting it all together. What happens next year? We cannot do that deal.
I'm not worried at all. If I were sitting at the Cleveland, you will be fine. LeBron's not going anywhere. Kevin Love's not going anywhere.
But that's no. Here's what I'm saying. If and I'm just saying this again because this is probably the last time we're going to talk Kevin Love, and I'm more on your side at this point than I ever have been. But remind me one more time. This is the last time we're going to talk Kevin Love. He's going to be a Cavalier on Saturday. No. We're going to be talking about him more than ever. No, stop it. I mean talking about the deal. Because what I've said this whole time, right. Because what I've said this whole time is fine. Let him get traded to Golden State. Let him choose to go to Chicago. Because next year we're going to get him next year anyway and keep Wiggins. So just tell me one final time on that point.
About what?
About why we can't wait 1 year for him to go somewhere and
sign. They
still
not have the cap space to make it work. You always have the ability to exceed your cap by signing your own players. Kevin Love will at that point have been a Cavalier player. It won't be an issue. So I'm telling you right now that otherwise they would never have been able to get this deal done. And why would Golden State even agree to facilitate a sign and trade at that point with the Cavaliers?
Yeah.
What is their incentive to do it? After giving up Klay Thomas, we're not going to do it for Dion Waiters. We don't care. We're not going to we don't want Dion Waiters and Anthony Bennett. They can say that.
All right. I mean, what if they did? I just like the poker aspect of it all. I would love to be behind the scenes. Just like you saw Jerry Jones, that story about was a draft card pulled out of his hand forcibly to not pick Johnny Manziel. You have no idea what goes on behind the scenes at least half the time.
Exactly.
I get that.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize.
I love the soap opera of it all. It's so fun.
You have to make tough decisions. You have to make tough decisions sometimes. And this is one of these decisions that was extremely tough, I'm sure, for David Blatt. They did not want to give up Andrew.
Of course. But if you were saying, do I have Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett, or do I have Kevin Love?
Parsons. The odds are the Cavaliers would have gone out and spent $16 a year on Chandler Parsons.
Chandler Parsons, or LeBron James and Kevin Love. I mean, that's not even a choice. You don't even have to say those words.
You're getting two of the top 7. You're getting the best player in the NBA, and you're getting a top 7 player in the NBA. I mean, it's not even close.
I want 3 of the top 7. I want 4 of them.
Well, there's no. I mean,
I know.
Don't forget, Kyrie last year was ranked in the top 7 of ESPN's rankings, or he was number 8.
Where did you rank him though? I don't care about ESPN. Tell me about you because you're about efficiency.
I had Kyrie in my top 10 last year. I thought he was going to have a breakout year. This year, I'd have him somewhere around 14.
Top
15.
10 guards or top 10 overall talents in the league?
Overall talent. He's a top 15 talent in the league. I think you're going to see that this year.
Who do you remember who's on that list? Top 5, top 10. I mean, where's Chris Paul?
Don't forget Chris Paul's top 3. Chris Paul's the top 3 player in the NBA.
LeBron number 1. Who's 2?
Here's the thing: Anthony Davis is now in my top 5.
But who was number 2?
Oof.
And by the way, this is for the listeners. This is not like an actual
Kevin Durant.
list.
It's not even close. It's Durant.
Oh. Well, but you haven't written this. You don't have an article that I'm referencing. Is what I'm saying.
I haven't had a chance to go do my list yet. But if I was going on my top, I'd go LeBron 1, Durant 2, Chris Paul 3.
LeBron, Durant, Paul.
I think I've got Anthony Davis at 4.
Davis at 4 already?
He is going to have such a monstrous year. You're going to be shocked.
His eyebrows, mate. Love those things. All right, so he's at 4. Who's
at 5?
He's going to have
such a dominant year. His eyebrows are going to split into 2.
They're going to fly off in each direction. Why is it that I think about like a Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon when I think of like eyebrows, like someone gets hit so hard that their eyebrows fly off?
I'll never forget that was the one lottery as a Cavs fan that I wanted to win, to get Anthony Davis. I even said at the time, I said I'd give up Kyrie Irving straight up for a pick. Kyrie Irving in the number 4 straight up for him.
So what year was Davis? That was 2000 and what 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Kyrie.
Then go 5 years ago to 2007 and go 5 years into the potential future. Do you think Anthony would be the best player in that 10-year span, 5 years before, 5 years after him?
I mean, don't forget, at that point in 2007, Anthony Davis is a point guard committed to Cleveland State.
And then his growth spurt. That's crazy. Hold on, when did Norris Cole graduate?
Norris Cole was in the 2012 draft. Yeah, I think.
Imagine those two on the same team. All right, fair enough. So then you have Anthony Davis at 4. Who's 5?
This is the point where it's a toss-up. I literally, if I had my list sitting in front of me on my computer, I could tell you this is where it starts to get complicated.
I like it. I like these branch.
You know
what? Somebody asked me.
I've got James Harden high. I've got James Harden ranked really high. I mean, don't forget about Carmelo Anthony still up there. I mean, there are a lot of good.
Now we're into James Harden and Carmelo Anthony at number 5 overall in the entire league.
In that range, I'm not saying.
I know. I'm totally putting you on the spot. And you're such a good sport about it. I appreciate that.
Don't forget, there's Steph Curry now too. I mean, Curry's an unbelievable player.
Top 10.
You've got guys cracking the top 15 now. You've got Joakim Noah up there. I mean, where does Derrick Rose fall in?
What? Yeah, he's taking some rest. I saw that come across the wire. He's taking some
rest.
Is
a healthy Rose is easily a top 5 player in the NBA.
Easily, he knocks out Carmelo.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. It's not even close.
Yeah.
You know, Derrick Rose on a good team can get Derrick Rose, a healthy Derrick Rose from the future. Don't forget, it's a
a healthy Dwayne Wade. If my aunt had some junk, she'd be my uncle. I mean,
don't forget
he's not
LeBron's
healthy.
Team. Don't forget LeBron's first year in Miami. Don't forget that was a Chicago team that won over 60 games.
It was a very good team, and it still is a very good team. It's some people say it's a team to beat in the East.
I don't think so.
I don't believe that.
But
you know what? To be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
How are you going to stop? How on a given night? And this is my question: is other than the Spurs, I think are the only team that can beat the Cavs right now, and I don't even know if they can. I think right now, since they're the incumbents, I'll give it to the Spurs until I see something different. But if you're the Chicago Bulls, how do you plan on stopping LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving on a nightly basis with Dion Waiters being your 4th offensive option? You're not going to do it. It's not possible. Unless they all have collectively bad, terrible shooting nights, you're not going to stop them.
I like
and
thinking about
LeBron's
that.
too smart of a player to have a 3 for 21 night like he did when he was,
yeah.
When he used to have those bad nights,
jacking up,
shooting on 15-20%.
Oh yeah,
he's too smart of a player to do that, and so is Kevin Love. And Kyrie's at that point where he's too good of a shooter for that to happen.
Well, I wanted to get back to Kyrie for just a second here, because we referenced the article, but I just wanted to put it into context and tell you exactly what it was. Kyrie says, telling Real GM, he says, I haven't been a leader. Not at all. Everybody asks me if this is my year to be a leader. I haven't been so far, though. Not at all, Irving said. I've just been a kid trying to figure it out. There's no perfect way to be a leader, and coming in as a 19-year-old kid and having everything bearing on your shoulders, there are a lot of ups and downs. Now it's about being the best every single day and not being afraid. I'm more than excited with our new veterans. I'm really excited just from the standpoint of how the locker room is going to go and how to really be a professional. I'm not saying that the veterans that we had weren't professionals themselves, but we didn't have enough. Given the right and wrong thing... Oh, yeah, go ahead, jump in.
That's what I was saying earlier. What veterans are you playing with? Jarrett Jack, Ramon Sessions?
Verajao.
You didn't have any veterans.
Verajao was there, but he was probably injured and not even in the locker room, actually. Andrew Bynum? Oh, cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, there were no veterans on the team. You're now on a team that's stacked of guys who know how to win and guys who still have talent. It's not just bringing in a 40-year-old at the end of his career going, let's go get championships, let's bring him in. Like the Browns did with Ted Washington back in the day, bringing in a guy just because he's got rings, because he won a ring with the Patriots. It is different. These are guys who are still talented, and the reason why they've won championships is because they're that talented. You cannot tell me that Miami would have won a year ago without Mike Miller. He was dominant in the finals. I mean, I remember the night he had 5 for 5. He went on 3-point shooting. He had some great nights in the finals. I don't know if Miami would have won without Mike Miller. I don't think they would have.
I don't really think they could have. It was Mr. Clutch. It was like Kirk Gibson in the series,
Exactly. Marion's still an awesome defender. He's still one of the best in the league.
How many years in the league is Marion now? I mean, we have an old
13.
team.
I think it's 13 now.
All right. Well, what is Duncan? He's 18 or 19 or something.
Duncan came in at 90. What was it? 98, maybe 16.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, it is going to be very different. Kyrie continues, he says...
Or did he come in 96? I don't know if he came in 96 or 98.
I could look it up if it matters.
It's not that big of a deal.
No, I didn't think so. That's why I wasn't. If I had a producer, I'd say, hey, producer, look that one up. What year was... Okay, and I'd move on, and then I'd get a text message pop on my screen. But you know what? I'm doing this all on my own, and I don't care that much either. To wrap this up here, just a couple sentences, and you really kind of touched on it as well. He says, I'm not saying... Kyrie Irving, and once again, in his words, in his interview with Real GM, he says, I'm not saying the veterans that we had weren't professionals themselves, but we didn't have enough. Given the right and wrong things to do in the league, I've had to learn on my own, and that's what some of us have been doing. Now we have, he says, now we have guys who've been in the league for years, guys who've won championships and have had to give a piece of their game for the greater good of the team. It's something I admire and something I'm going to learn from. Kyrie is saying there, I don't need to put in 38 points and take the game-winning shot. I want to give part of me to get better on defense, to be more efficient so I can extend my career for 4 years and make a hell of a lot more millions of dollars. I want championships, and I don't want all the pressure on my shoulders at the same time. I love what Kyrie said here because it took LeBron leaving Cleveland to learn that he needed to mature, and it didn't take that. Remember him and Dwayne Wade laughing at Dirk Nowitzki and his cold that he had, and Dirk came out and smacked him around like an older brother. It took LeBron getting humiliated in that finals till he grew up. And here we are, we're talking about Kyrie Irving only a few years into the league, very, 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 very young, understanding this, coming on the heels of Dion Waiters talking about, what was it, last week or the week before, talking about how he's studying like the best plays that him and Dwayne Wade had, him being LeBron James, that LBJ and D Wade had, because he wants to tweak his game to fit the skill set of the best player in the league so that we can all be successful. I'm telling you, at least in theory and on paper, I love what's happening in Cleveland right now, and I love that Kyrie is wise enough and mature enough to admit that he has not been a leader, not at all. I love this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's something he came out there and said it. It's great.
Absolutely. And now the exact opposite of that is Johnny Manziel. I mean, I watched the game and I wasn't even aware that he flicked off the Redskins.
I didn't notice what happened. I saw it, on Twitter right after I was watching it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either. But you're in the middle of trying to win a starting position. You just got picked in the first round. You're going up against Brian Hoyer that can be beaten, but you're not studying the playbook. You're partying out in Vegas. You might be doing cocaine. You're getting wasted off champagne on a floating duck. You're out there flicking off the fans like, buddy, you don't even know how to call an audible in this freaking league yet, and you're not taking it seriously. Should we be concerned as Cleveland Browns fans about that?
I mean, it's something of maturity. He's not starting the season anyway, so I don't know.
Well, we learned that today. Right, we just learned that.
So it's not something I'm going to start tripping over. It's not the end of the world.
You know, and it's not for me either.
He's not. He's clearly not ready yet. I mean,
No.
Brian Hoyer looked really bad too, but
Yeah.
Josh Gordon didn't make anything better. I mean, that was another thing. Jordan Cameron had a couple of drop balls. They looked bad all around. I mean, the offense. Here's the thing. You know, this is what someone said to me the other day, and I'm not going to forget it. Someone said, "Oh, this is actually today," and someone said to me, they said, "Man, the Browns, they look bad." I said, "You know what? I'm almost happy about this." I said, because every year, I said, I get my expectations way too high in the preseason. Like last year, Brandon Whedon looked great. And I'm sitting there saying, oh, man, he's really turned a corner. I think maybe we can have a big year. What do you know? The guy's a dud. And, you know, they just let you down. And it was, you know, Trent Richardson was terrible. It was,
I had a show
it was
with
just,
9-time, maybe now 10-time, 11 for all I know. I need to reach out to him and bring him back on. John Telich from Fox 8 Cleveland. He was on the program. And I remember doing a show with him back in the early days when we first started this, maybe 3 years ago, if you can think back to that. Although Colt looked okay in third string practice for in the game against the Browns, throwing a really nice touchdown pass. I liked what I saw out of Colt.
Yeah, but also the defensive back was just absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, and that's fair, absolutely.
And when I mean horrendous, I'm being nice.
Yeah, kind of like Semi or Den. You're being nice by being mean.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, I mean, I forgot his name, but I can tell you he'll be cut. It's not even a question. He looked terrible.
Yeah, it didn't look very good.
Here's the thing. The first team defense looked great. I mean, they had the goal line stand. They were causing turnovers. I mean, you weren't even blitzing.
Oh, I love that goal line stand.
The thing with the Browns is you're going to have
you're
going to be pissed off a lot of games this year because I can already tell you it's going to happen. And I'm sitting there waiting now for the Saints game. I'm so excited for the Saints game opening day. But, you know, something tells me it's going to, you know, the Browns are going to have a lot of low-scoring affairs this year. And I can tell you that right now. No, I forgot. Actually, Pittsburgh is the opening day. Saints is the home opener. And you're going to have a lot of just pissed-off fans, you know, sometimes this year because you're going to see a lot of games where it's 10-3 because the Browns' defense is not going to be giving up a lot of points. They're going to be causing a lot of turnovers. That secondary is dominant with Gibson, Whitner, you know, Gilbert and Hayden, and you've got Buster Screen at the nickel. I think they're going to be really tough. You know, when you put Screen in the nickel, he's a much better player. And, you know, that front seven, Kirksey, I love Christian Kirksey. He's looked great so far through 2 games in the preseason. I mean, the kid's a ball hawk.
You know who I wanted to see? I wanted to see Pierre Desir, but I didn't get to see him.
He's been a little shaky early on, but he's a rookie. I mean, don't forget, this is a guy who came from a D2 school.
Yeah, I like his story. I watched that ESPN special.
Yeah, oh yeah, I like the kid. I mean, how can you not like him?
Right.
But I mean, he's
awesome.
a project. He's a project at this point. But, you know, down the road, he's got that, you know, I mean, he's got 6'2". He's got big-time potential in the NFL. And you look at that front seven, Cleveland's front seven is one of the best in the NFL. It's a top 5 unit.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, this defense has very few holes. And it's funny, you look at the offensive line. The offensive line is probably one of the better units in football. You have one of the best tight ends in football. You have the best wide receiver in football. Yet, and you have good running backs. Yet, you don't have a quarterback right now, and you're missing complementary receivers. You don't have number 2 receiver. You don't have a number 3 receiver. You don't have any of that. So the Browns, like I said, are so close to being there.
And with Josh Gordon being gone for half a season,
exactly.
The 2s become 1s, and it's like, oh my God, what the hell are we doing?
Well, because 2 of the most important positions in football, so essentially the 2 most important positions of your offense, you're lacking.
So what are we going to get out of Ben Tate this year then? I mean, I
think Ben Tate's going to be good. I really do. But, you know, if you can't pass the ball, you're not going to score. It's a passing league nowadays. And, you know, if these guys can't get open or catch, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be something that's plagued the Browns now for a while. And, you know, next year you've got 2 first-round picks. You got a crap load of money in free agency. Go out and spend it. Go out and draft receivers. If Johnny Manziel isn't the answer, go out and draft a quarterback. You know, I'm going to give Manziel the benefit of the doubt because I like the kid and I think he has the potential. But if he struggles mightily this year, go out and grab Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Brett Hundley. I mean,
if you think it's your guy. If you think it's good.
You've got multiple franchise quarterbacks coming out in this year's draft. If you feel you've got one, go out and grab one.
Yeah, and you have the 2 first-round picks, which sure help you.
Don't just because you took a quarterback a year earlier doesn't mean anything. He can ride the bench.
Hey, you know what? And I will go on the record and say, I was going to be happy whatever happened with the Browns quarterback situation. Now, it turns out that's not exactly true because they've both played so poorly that I'm not really excited about either of them. However, this is 2 games into games that don't count in a league where they're making millions to play games that don't count, not a high school game that really counts if you want to get your job and you want to keep your position on the team. I've done that in high school. I understand what it means to battle for your position, and I understand that millionaires don't really need to battle.
You learn from Pat Shermer. He loves to battle.
Yeah. You know, and I liked the going for it on 4th downs, by the way. I just want to go back to last year with Chud. I really liked that battle. I think we did get some of that.
Well, most of the time they converted it. So
well, you know, Patton is a nice, hard-nosed gentleman. I really get the right feeling about this guy. But I was going to say I
think he'll do a really good job for his 12 months before the Browns go out and hire someone new.
I'm praying for stability in this franchise. Let me have this for a minute. No, but I was going to be happy if Hoyer gets it because Hoyer, look, he's a veteran. He's, 6 years into the league. He studied under Tom Brady in the Belichick system. You know what? He's going to be able to dink it and dunk it as good as anybody else. When he was in rhythm, we were on a 3-game winning streak.
Able to catch the ball.
That's fair, but
that's the big question.
But if that's happening to the point where it's all of the drive stoppers are the fact that the receivers are failing, we're going to see that, and we're going to know that that's not the problem. I'm actually a little surprised we didn't go out and get who just popped out. Santonio Holmes. There was
he stinks at this point. That's the thing is, all the guys on the market, they're not any good anymore.
But are they better than our number 3 that now has to become a number 2, or the 4 that becomes a 3 because
there's a reason why Santonio Holmes was unsigned up until the 3rd preseason game, past the 2nd preseason game.
All right.
There's a reason for it. Just remember that.
I know there's but I'm saying when you're desperate, you take a flyer.
4 years ago, if he was still the player he was 4 years ago, he would have been on an NFL roster right now. Just remember that.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that when you're desperate, you take a flyer. You know, you've seen that stuff in Bad News Bears or every sports.
Well,
let's get Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn up here. He's a troublemaker, but, you know, maybe we can get something out of him. Whoa, look at that. Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. You know, I mean, you see
the Browns took a chance, though, with Miles Austin, and look where it's gotten him at this point. He's been, you know, he's looked good in practice. He's looked bad in the preseason so far.
Yeah.
And, you know, taking a flyer on these washed-up guys, as much as as happy as I was to get Miles Austin, it's still depressing to watch.
So what let me do this, and I want to bounce to Braxton Miller before we let you go. What is your prognostication? What is the score? What is the record going to be for the Cleveland Browns this upcoming year? And I'm getting this input from you halfway through the preseason. Obviously, we've only seen bits and pieces. We don't know about Josh Gordon, but taking what we know today into consideration, what's the Browns' record next year?
5-11, 6-10. If they're lucky, I mean, with the quarterback play they've gotten so far, that's about what they're looking at. Now, I hope to God I'm wrong. I really do. Like I said, every year I give these ridiculous expectations, and they wind up stinking. So this year I'm going to go with 5 to 6 wins.
Hey, you know what? Could you see Brian Hoyer turning into a game manager if Ben Tate holds his own? If you get something out of West coming out of the backfield and like a Darren Sproles role?
That's the thing is I don't see the Browns unless she pulls a Brandon Weeden, he's throwing 4 picks a game. I see this team being in virtually every game this season because of their defense.
And that's my point. That's how the Seattle I call them the Supersonics. The Seattle Seahawks.
The Seattle Superhawks.
Yeah, the Seattle Superhawks. Thank you. Almost sounds like a Transformer or something. Anyway, the Seattle Seahawks won it with lights-out defense, and when you take Dante Whitner and put him next to Joe Hayden and you draft Justin Gilbert, holy crap! I mean, something just happened in that secondary if it gels. You know?
Seattle didn't have any receivers last year. I mean, that's the thing is, too.
Right.
They didn't have any receivers last year. I mean, Russell Wilson's very similar in terms of play style to Johnny Manziel. Very similar.
There you go.
I would say they compare most in the league. I wouldn't compare Manziel with any other quarterback other than Russell Wilson.
So to say it's a passing lead...
Johnny is not RG3. He's not. If anything, he's Russell Wilson. They're very, very similar players.
Hey, you know what? At this point, I don't know that I would...
height, everything.
I don't know that I would rather have RG3 watching him play.
He didn't look very good either. I mean,
no, and he's sliding like Brian Hoyer, gonna blow out his knee again. You know, that's got to be infuriating. All the stuff that the Redskins have given up, and I mean, how is that not something that you're working on with a baseball coach? Learning how to slide, someone that can just get you on the ground and, all right, you're running left, now go down. You're running right, now go down. Practice this so it's smooth. Johnny Manziel has that, whether he makes the right decisions or not, he can do that. But I saw RG3 out there he got bounced off of 3 Browns defenders on that one play, off of his feet. It was an incredible bong, bong, bang kind of hit. I don't know. I would be worried if I was Washington right now. Once again, am I crazy?
I think the Redskins stink, but their defense is bad. Their offense is it could be good. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't think Washington's going to get the ball. Washington is one of those perennial 5-11, 6-10 teams.
Well, that's kind of what you were predicting for the Browns. And it's going to be no surprise. I've done this every year. I predict the Browns will go undefeated and win the Super Bowl because, hey, if it's time for karma to rain down on some unexpected team for some unexpected reason, and it's very hard to go undefeated in the NFL, why not us? Why not this year?
I think that's happening with the Cavaliers this year.
You know what? Let's hope so, because it's not happening for Braxton Miller. I want to get to this before we go. Braxton Miller, just in practice, he says, I'm 100%, and then he throws a little dink and dunk pass and blows out his shoulder. I mean, what the heck happened, and what do we do now?
I don't know. I really don't. I think it's a disaster, because you're looking at Ohio State, a team that was easily going to be contending for a national title this year. Doesn't mean they can't be a top 10 team, but I don't really know anything about Barrett, so I haven't heard much, and so it just sucks that Kenny Guyton's no longer here.
I know, like the year you would absolutely need Guyton to I bet you Guyton is pissed off right now. Like I could just hear him go, "Mother!" Like, you've got to be kidding me, because he was so good and always behind Braxton.
Exactly. So like I said, Ohio State's going to rely a lot on their running game. You have to at this point. So
yeah, the kid looks athletic. I got to learn his game as well. I'm not gonna.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to watch them. I think they'll be all right. I really do. I don't think winning the Big Ten title's out of question. But who knows? Maybe he succeeds. I really hope he does. Maybe you got your long-term answer at quarterback. So
yeah, that might be the case. And we're going to get to see all the young kids start to figure it out. So Kevin Love, let's wrap this up here. Zak Baris, by the way, if you're not following him on Twitter, do so. He's at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. A couple days, Kevin Love is a done deal. There's absolutely nothing that could mess this thing up, correct?
Yes. If you want to do a show Saturday, the possibility I'm going to be in New York. And Sunday, Monday, I will be in New York. But Sunday and Monday, I will be all day. I will be working all day both days. So I have no chance to talk Sunday or Monday. But if the show possibly on Saturday when the deal gets completed, if you want to do a show, I can try and make it work.
Okay, so nothing's going to change there, and that at that point, that's when you expect to see the Shawn Marion and Ray Allen deals occur, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think Ray Allen's even going to say anything yet. I think the impression is at this point that Ray Allen will be coming to town, but it's going to probably be the first or second week of September.
Oh, okay, that's very specific. All right. Well, all right, then we have it. Anything else we're supposed to look forward to? I didn't even get into who else is going to be cut from the Team USA.
They're going with all 16 players into this weekend, so.
All right.
So.
Done deal, and there's no way Kevin Love rejoins that team. He said he was out, not just till the trade's done. He means he's done for the whole thing, right?
I don't know. If that's what he said, then I guess that's what he says.
Oh, okay. Because I'm not really sure about that.
I tend to think, who knows, he might be back in a couple of years. 2016 is a totally different story.
Yeah.
So all I can tell you is right now is he wasn't going to take that risk, and I think maybe Cleveland had asked him and said, "Listen, we got this trade coming up.
I would have
jeopardized anything."
I would have.
Minnesota may have asked him too. They said, "Listen, Kevin, we prefer that you not compete."
And I bet you they all called each other on a conference call after watching Paul George's injury and said, "Gentlemen, I think we made the right decision. I'll talk to you on the 23rd."
I can't even talk about it.
I know, but I'm saying I think they all realized, wow, I think we made the perfect decision here. All right, well then, Zach, I guess we're going to have a lot more to figure out. We got to check out the new Buckeyes quarterback. We know that the Browns are rolling with Brian Hoyer, and we know that Kevin Love is set to sign with Shawn Marion and Ray Allen, perhaps, and we're going to see all these dominoes start to fall in the next couple of weeks. And I believe I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that more, even though we've mostly figured things out. Definitely go Browns, go Cavs, go Buckeyes, go Indians. Oh, real quick, Indians, still in the playoff hunt. Still do it. They're hanging around, and it's late in the season. Can they make it in the playoffs?
You know what? They've got such an easy schedule from here on out. As long as the pitching can hold up, yeah, they've got a chance.
Man, I sure hope so.
Listen, do I think they're the front runners? No. But with the end of the season they pulled last year with that easy schedule, they were kicking the crap out of people.
Right.
So,
well, hey,
let's hope they can
keep it close.
Let's hope they bring back that late season magic this year and have it. I would love nothing more than an Indians run right now. So.
Absolutely, make it a season of Cleveland. Zach, thank you for your time again. I appreciate you.
Thanks
We'll bring you back
Brian.
in real soon. Everybody follow Zach on Twitter at @ZBaris. My name's Brian Engelman. You've been listening to the TNAM Radio Network here at thenewamericanmedia.com. Go to the bottom right of our homepage and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, we're at American_media_ and subscribe to youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Because that would be fantastic, and join all of the other hundreds and thousands of people that are checking our content out. I appreciate you. I love you. It's going to be a fantastic season of sports, and I am so glad that you found us here. Peace.